Hello, spooky crew. Our tote bag drawing is officially closed, and we just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who entered. We are so grateful for the love and the support, and we have loved reading your reviews. Missed the tote? No worries. We're still sending out high-quality vinyl stickers while supplies last. Just email us proof of your rating and review along with your mailing address to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, and we'll get one headed your way. Quick promise, your address is only for mailing the sticker. No emails, no selling info, no funny business, just spooky gratitude. Thanks again for supporting the show. You are the reason we do this. You're listening to The Spooky Darlings, a podcast where three sisters get together and talk about things of high strangeness. And today is the 13th episode. In our cryptid crawl, we're doing the state of Illinois. And I think Emily is going to start us off. And I want you to know that I'm prepared to make a joke about how someone is Illinois about that, just like I did last time we talked about Illinois.
Perfect. Now, I did want to say, I'm Emily.
Oh, I'm Haley. And I'm Jeanette, or Nettie. And when I bring us in, I forget to have us introduce ourselves. That is always me.
That's okay.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay, so today I'm going to share with you the story of the Enfield Horror. Not to be confused with the Enfield Poltergeist or the Enfield Haunting, which took place later than this in England. This took place in Enfield, Illinois. So at 10 p.m. on April 25th, 1973, a man named Henry McDaniel, who was a World War II veteran and an antiques dealer, had just come home from a meeting when he heard something that he thought was probably an animal outside his house. He opened the door and looked outside, expecting to see a dog. Sorry, there's a big thunder crash. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Through my microphone?
No.
Okay, it was
I was like, did she freeze?
I
was like, what's going on? No, she's moving. What happened though? Is she scared?
I'm scared. Sorry. Okay, so he heard something that he thought was probably a dog or an animal outside scratching at the door. He opened the door expecting to see a dog or something, but what he saw was unlike anything that he had ever seen before. He described it as a creature 4.5 feet tall with like a human-like body, but not human. It had 3 legs, a weirdly short body, 2 little short arms. It had large, bright, reddish or pinkish eyes as big as flashlights. And it had grayish skin.
It was 3 legs.
I mean, I know what you're thinking.
What?
And
Perfect.
Okay. He said that the creature was trying to get into the house, so he quickly shut the door and grabbed his pistol and a flashlight. And when he opened the door again, the creature was about 12 feet from the house in his yard. Oh. He fired 4 shots, certain that he hit it with the first shot. The thing made a terrifying hissing sound like a wildcat, and then it ran off through some bushes near the railroad tracks that ran by McDaniel's home. And he said it took this creature only 3 leaps to cover a distance of 50 feet.
Oh, my goodness. Wait, how tall did you say he said the creature was?
4.5 feet tall.
4.5 feet. So not even that tall, but it must have been able to leap really high because of its 3 legs, probably.
Yeah.
So he then called the police, who took it seriously and came to check things out. They didn't see the actual creature themselves, but they did see a series of scratches in the siding of his house and on his front porch. One of the screen doors appeared to have been ripped by something. It looked like could have been claws, something sharp.
Oh, my gosh.
And there was evidence that something had been trying to gain entrance through a window AC unit.
Oh, my goodness.
And there were footprints that were weird. They were kind of similar almost to a dog's footprint, but it had 6 toe pads, where a dog's print only has 4 toe pads.
Oh, wow. But he said it was humanoid. But its feet were...
He said it was sort of human-like. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what that means, you know? So, like, there was something about it that seemed slightly humanish, but it was definitely not a human, right? So, 2 of the tracks that they saw were 4 inches wide, while there was another set of prints, not a set, another print that was left by a 3rd foot that was smaller. So in their report, the police report, they noted that, like they said this very specifically, that Henry McDaniel was rational and sober. So they didn't think he was like some crazy old man, because they'll normally say like they said this, this was their state.
He was drunk.
Right. He appeared to have been drinking or...
Yes. So he appeared rational and sober. So they went on to question nearby residents, and they learned that a 10-year-old boy that was a neighbor of Henry McDaniel named Greg Garrett claimed to have seen a creature matching the description about 30 minutes before. He said that he was outside, he'd been playing outside, and the creature came close and apparently ripped at his clothing and either stepped on or clawed at his feet, shredding his tennis shoes. And then he ran inside crying hysterically and told his parents. And I'll come back to this claim from Greg Garrett later on. But most of this was reported in news articles. And this is one of those interesting things where it's one of those cryptids that does have several news articles about it. Like, you can look them up. You can find these old articles. So
cool.
Can
we pause really quick?
Yeah.
And I just want to go back to when you were like, and then a 10-year-old boy who lived nearby. And I was like, prank. He's one of those prankster kids. And I was so excited for you to talk about this kid's prank, but it's not. Okay. He got his shoes shredded. We're moving on to other stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, so we will come back and talk about that actually later. But, most of this was reported in an article on the front page of the Mount Vernon Register. Mount Vernon is a city that's nearby Enfield. So most of this was reported in their, newspaper on April 27th, 1973. And I can share like a little picture of this article on the front page news. It says pretty much what I just described, as well as a couple of pictures of Henry McDaniel. So 2 weeks passed. And then on May 6th, radio station WWKI, which was actually in Indiana, but nearby. So this was like, this town bordered, like it was near where Indiana and Illinois meet up. So WWKI received a call from Henry McDaniel. He claimed that at 3 a.m. that morning, he was awakened by a bunch of dogs in the neighborhood howling and barking. He got up, he looked outside, and he saw the creature again. This time he said that it was making its way along the railroad tracks that bordered his property. And Mr. McDaniel said, I saw something moving out on the railroad track, and there it stood. I didn't shoot at it or anything. It started on down the railroad track. It wasn't in a hurry or anything. So, unquote. So, a man named Rick Rainbow was the news, and that was his real name.
Nice. It's a
great name.
A man named Rick Rainbow was the news director of the radio station WWKI, and as far as I can tell, that was his real name. Rick Rainbow joined a search party to come and visit Enfield and comb over the area of this most recent sighting. And even though they had their recording equipment with them, they had planned to start recording at nighttime, which was when the sightings had happened before. So they thought that they would capture something at night and that it would actually probably be kind of like a cooler thing if they were able to capture this thing on video at night. But it was during the day that they actually claimed to see a creature. They described it a little bit differently, and they did not yet have their video cameras on. But they saw what they said was an ape-like creature near Mr. McDaniel's house. And they even recorded on audio recording, they recorded a noise that they believed was the creature's screech or cry. They fired a shot at the creature. They don't think they hit it, and the creature ran away. So.
Okay.
Then.
Wow.
A cryptozoologist student named Lauren Coleman, who actually later became a very famous name in cryptozoology. He is a field researcher and author and the founder of the International Museum of Cryptozoology. But at this time, he was, I think, still just a student. But he decided to visit Enfield to investigate the case. And he ended up co-writing an article called The Illinois Abominable Swamp Slobs, which is a reference to something that another guy named these things. I think it actually was referencing a different creature that's like described quite differently from the Enfield Horror. But they talked about a few different sightings of things around the area. And you'll notice that abominable swamp slobs, if you turned it into an acronym as ASS, and that was kind of like a joke that was made a few times. What?
I'm just showing her that that's in my report too.
Oh, it is. I was going to talk about the abominable swamp slobs.
No, don't cut it out.
Or you guys are going to talk about the asses.
Yes, I knew that you would bring it up when I was researching.
Oh, okay.
It referenced yours, so I was like, Emily will most likely bring this up, and then I'll use that as my segue, which is why I said I would segue perfectly. So I was just showing
Oh, okay.
Haley.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, in my notes. Anyways,
You
yes.
smarty smart.
So
Okay.
abbreviated to
Yes, so abominable swamp slobs abbreviates to ASS, as our grandmother Dorothea would have said. So in the article, they reference a horrible smell that accompanied these sightings of these creatures that they were said to have found around the southern Illinois area, including Murfreesboro, which is about an hour and a half away from Enfield, around the same time frame in 1973. But these other sightings were described pretty differently. They said that they saw a 7.5-foot bipedal creature, like, you know, a little bit more like a devil monkey type thing.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
but skeptics think that this rash of creature sightings was probably just escaped gorillas. I'll show you a picture, actually. This is kind of
Like a photo or someone's sketch.
a sketch that was in the article. So I don't know if you will also have this picture. This was a sketch that somebody put in of what they talked about in that article by Lauren Coleman and his counterpart. So that looks pretty different from what Henry McDaniel described. So, but skeptics think that maybe it was escaped gorillas. And apparently there were a lot of escaped gorillas around that area, like especially, I guess, in Mississippi since 1941. There were just like lots of escaped gorillas.
Like people's
Wow.
personal zoos or something?
I don't know what was going on in that time period
I
with
think that people had a bunch of zoos back then, and they were getting shut down when
Or like thought it's a good idea to get a baby gorilla, and then they're like, but babies grow into adults.
maybe like that. But I do know that there were a bunch of like people did have personal zoos, and there were a bunch of zoos shut down,
yeah.
like in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Man.
So in addition, there was also another creature sighted in like between, so this was over 30 years before, in Mount Vernon between 1941 and 1942. This is 40 miles away from Enfield. There was a string of sightings of a creature that they said was a leaping beast, and it rocked the town and left a series of animal deaths and mutilations in its wake. So what I've heard about the Enfield creature, like aside from scratching the side of the house and trying to get in, or from scratching that little 10-year-old Greg's shoes, I don't believe that the Enfield horror was ever known to like kill or mutilate any people or animals. But this Mount Vernon creature
Man.
did.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah. So the locals called that creature the Mount Vernon Monster and described it as looking baboon-like and able to leap anywhere from 20 to 40 feet in a single bound, kind of like a devil monkey, which we covered in our second episode that was not part of our cryptid crawl.
I think it was
Yeah.
like episode.
The devil monkey made me do it,
was
like
like episode
episode
three
3
or
or
4.
something.
Okay, I thought that was episode 2.
I think episode 2 is frogging.
Oh, you're right. So, I'll just say it again. So, this sounds kind of similar to the devil monkey, which we did cover in an earlier episode, maybe like episode 3 or 4. I don't know what number. Tell us if you want. So, some people think that could possibly be the same creature. So, a lot of people in the area with the description of the third leg, people were convinced that what Henry McDaniel saw was probably just an escaped kangaroo. You know, that the large tail like could have been mistaken for a leg.
Oh.
Or, you know, some people were like, no, it was probably an escaped gorilla. He just didn't see it right.
Oh.
And even there was a man from Ohio, which, you know, is like kind of close, I guess, who wrote in a letter saying that he thought it was probably his own pet kangaroo named Macy that had been either lost or stolen a year before.
Do kangaroos have 6-foot pads?
They don't. So kangaroo footprints do not look like the footprints that were seen outside of Henry McDaniel's house. But these are just kind of the things that people are like supposing.
How they're explaining it. Yeah.
But McDaniel insisted that it absolutely could not have been a kangaroo and that he should know because he used to have a pet kangaroo. He knows kangaroos well.
Why did so many people in this area have pet kangaroos?
What is happening in Illinois?
So he did not have a pet kangaroo in Illinois, but he had been stationed in Australia. In the armed services, and he did either had an actual pet kangaroo or was close with kangaroos that he treated like pets. I've seen differing accounts.
He knew kangaroos.
He called himself a Joey.
But he literally, he said, this was a quote, "I've been all around the world. I've been through," okay, so this was from Lawrence Coleman's article where they quoted him as saying, "I've been through Africa and I've had a pet kangaroo." But another article said that he had been stationed in Australia. So I'm pretty sure they meant Australia, and the article just misquoted it as saying Africa. But anyway, he said,
maybe.
And I'll continue the quote. "This was not a kangaroo. I've never seen this type of creature or track before." So basically, he's more equipped than most people to say if it was or was not a kangaroo. He became convinced that what he saw was from another planet.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my first thought when you described it, honestly, and especially when you said it was walking around the railroad tracks, I was like, I bet it was an alien. I bet it crashed and it was looking for its spacecraft or trying to find a way to get home.
My first thought was 10-year-old. They're about 4 feet.
you think it was Greg.
Alien.
Greg the neighbor.
10-year-old.
So this whole thing, I mean, those are kind of I just kind of got a little sidetracked telling you a few other sightings of different things that have happened in neighboring towns. But this whole thing brought a lot of attention and visitors to this little town of Enfield. And the town population, according to the 1970 census, which was 3 years before this happened, said that the population was 875 people. Some other sources say it was only 750 people at the time of the sightings of the Enfield Horror. So in addition to news crews that came to visit the town, there were groups of monster hunters that were, or, also some looky-loos, but people that came and wanted the thrill of trying to capture this thing or get this thing. So this disrupted the town's usual quiet atmosphere. So as you can imagine, this would be pretty scary. If you lived in a tiny little town where you're used to being able to feel safe at night, and you've got people, which according to some accounts, these people were sometimes drinking and going out with guns, trying to search for this.
It's the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't think drinking and driving is illegal yet.
So, so there are people possibly intoxicated, shooting at things in the dark. And the townspeople were afraid that a bunch of trigger-happy monster hunters roaming the town would eventually lead to tragedy, accidentally shooting a kid or an animal or something. So on May 8th, a group of 5 such monster hunters claimed that they saw a gray, hairy creature in some underbrush, and they shot at it. 2 of them thought that they had actually struck the creature, but it ran off faster than anything they've ever seen run. And that made them kind of question if they had actually shot it. They thought that they had, but then with how fast it ran, they were like, maybe not,
Why is the instinct to shoot at a creature hiding in the bushes? It wasn't charging them. The same thing with
Nettie,
the original guy.
I just explained this. It's the 70s.
I just don't understand.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I think there's that fear of things that you don't quite understand. And I get it. I also, especially seeing some little sketches of what people thought maybe it looked like. It looks pretty cute with this pink glowing eyes. I don't think I want it to be shot at. So anyway, this thing ran off. And when the sheriff's office received reports of gunshots in the middle of the night in the area, they went out and they arrested some of these monster hunters. And they got them for hunting without a license. So the deputy sheriff told reporters, quote, so this was Deputy Sheriff Jim Clark. He told reporters, quote, "Nothing I know of is in season now, especially monsters. Anybody we know of out hunting monsters, especially with guns, will be put in jail. We're afraid they'll kill somebody."
Right.
Good on that sheriff.
So basically, authorities and townspeople, they're over all the commotion. They don't really want to have this attention on them. They don't want people coming in to their town and disrupting things. And Henry McDaniel said that the sheriff actually came to him and threatened to arrest him if he said anything else about his sighting. So he told reporters, quote, "What I can't understand is why they want to keep it so hush-hush." So McDaniels is feeling like he's being quieted. You know, so like it seems like
But do you think it was just to keep monster hunters from coming? That's why the sheriff wanted him quiet? Not necessarily like a conspiracy, but just like, quit saying this. We're having all these crazy people with guns get drunk and wander around our woods with rifles.
Right. So, I mean, I've kind of tried to tell it in a way so you'll understand both sides, like the townspeople's side and Henry McDaniel's side. But Lauren Coleman, that famous cryptozoologist, later said that people in Enfield were weirdly unwilling to talk about anything that they'd seen there. And he called it, quote, "a sinister conspiracy of silence," unquote.
But also, couldn't that just be the like wall of silence that sometimes is a small town because they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're coming into our space.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
wonder.
a few years later, so this is 1978, a group of researchers at Western Illinois University used the Enfield Horror sighting as a case study in social contagion. So they found that there were only 3 actual firsthand reports of sightings of this creature that had subsequently been exaggerated into what they thought was an epidemic through gossip and news. So they said that in that part of Southern Illinois, you know, you could reasonably assume that Mr. McDaniel or the people on the news actually had seen an animal, but they also said that everybody that they interviewed talked about it in terms of like other people had seen it and they believed them, or that they thought that maybe it was a large dog or calves or bear or deer, whatever, other kinds of animals.
But still, 3 firsthand sightings is a lot. I think 3, like, especially if they're unrelated people, you know, that aren't like 3 people from one family. It's like, I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah, right. And then there was also like the rumor that it was somebody's escaped exotic pet, like a gorilla or
orangutan
or a kangaroo.
Dad'll be so proud.
So some people also kind of like suggested that Mr. McDaniel was just like kind of a weird guy and like had a runaway imagination. So they thought that he was just kind of like shooting at nothing, you know, like shooting at shadows. So basically they thought that like the claim that there was an alien was kind of like not valid. And remember, Greg Garrett, the 10-year-old that Haley was suggesting was possibly a prankster.
Was it the pranking 10-year-old?
Go on.
So Greg Garrett and his father told those researchers that he hadn't ever actually seen the creature. And he said that he was trying to contribute to like he was trying to tease Mr. McDaniel and have fun with what he said was like a bunch of out-of-town news people.
So, yeah, I don't know.
But I'm skeptical of that.
I am too.
Here's my take. I do think another telling of it said that Greg's mom made him call the researchers and say that he had never actually seen it. But my feeling is like, if there's this small town, everybody doesn't want to believe that there was something here. And this mom is like, you're making us be the weird family that's a witness. Like, I don't want to hear it, you know, like, because the first initial reports were like, this kid doesn't make stuff up. The parents believed him 100%. And then later on, it's like the dad and the mom both kind of made the kid call the researchers. So I don't actually know, you know, whether he did or didn't.
I feel like if a kid is making up a story about himself, he's not going to say, and then I ran in crying. Like, because kids are trying to be tough. You know, they would make up a story. I was like, and then I punched it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just feel like the story he told is not a story someone would
And then I got my sword.
make up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I agree with that too. Like if my kid at 10 was making up a story about seeing a monster, they were going to probably have like fought the monster or, it definitely would have been running and crying.
More. And if not the Enfield Horror, then what? I ask, scratched up Gregory's shoes.
Yeah, where are these shoes?
Greg Garrett would be 63 years old now. As far as I can tell, he's not talking about his claimed sighting anymore. He doesn't really want to talk about it. But it does make me wonder, like, what people will or won't say depending on the context and what authority they're talking to, right? So, like, if a researcher is coming and doing a study on social contagion, which side are you going to, like, let your story land on? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting to just consider. And I can't speak to how the researchers presented themselves when they did come and talk to people in the town. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they were upfront about what their research was about and if people were able to like answer questions without bias.
Can you remind me what year the researchers came to the town?
I believe this study was published in 1978. So it was between 1973 and 1978 that they researched. And that was Nettie's birth year because she loved to be born in 1978. She loved that year, so she chose it.
I was actually born in 1977.
Well, I thought you were excited because of the year. So I made it up.
No, I was excited because in my mind, I was like saying, I think it was 1978. And then when you said 1978, I was like, oh my gosh, I was right.
I thought your face was saying that was your birth year. Sorry, I didn't remember.
That's interesting. And also, like, it's okay. Like, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like that was maybe a little bit.
Oh, now? Oh, no, wait. You wanted me to let you get the thought out first? Go ahead.
Like a little bit of like the Wild West of doing social studies on social behavior and like just kind of like that.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. The Wild West of doing like social experiments, almost like they're.
And like gathering information and like how to properly interview somebody without like leading them.
Right.
And like with your questions and like,
Yeah. That's a good point.
I agree with that, Haley. And I think that, I mean, it does leave me wondering how many people would have been at that point, especially a few years later, like were they shy or embarrassed to admit if they had actually seen it? And especially if they did know that they were part of like a university study about hysteria, you know? Mm-hmm. So this little creature, the Enfield Horror or the Enfield Monster, basically kind of consumed this town for a couple of weeks in 1973 and then was pretty much like not really seen or spoken of very much after. So there is, I always love to check if there are any people that have claimed to see our cryptids on Reddit. And there is an interesting account on Reddit. There was a post in Cryptozoology from 2 years ago. So this would have been in 2024, where user Illustrious Expert 17 said, "Believe it or not, my ex-girlfriend and her daughter saw the Enfield Horror near Terre Haute, Indiana in November 2022. They nearly hit it with their car driving one night. They described it perfectly without having any prior knowledge that it was a thing."
Whoa.
As soon as they said 3 legs, I went GTFO. I'm convinced they saw the Enfield Horror.
Oh my goodness.
But then in this same thread, another user said, "I knew Henry McDaniel. He was a mean old drunk and I wouldn't trust him to tell me he saw a fish at an aquarium." And then another person said, "Hello, random person from home. My grandpa also knew him and was, shall we say, skeptical of his account."
Oh, this is fun. Stories from the locals. I love this.
Another user said this. So that's the same person who just commented. He said, "My hometown is about 10 minutes away from Enfield and it's my papa's hometown. He knew Henry McDaniel and in his words, quote, he saw a lot of things, end quote. I think it's generally accepted that he's not a reliable narrator, but it makes for a good story." Okay. And then one other user whose account has been deleted said, My father is from Enfield. His grandfather was actually the mayor of Enfield in the 60s. Anyway, I've always tried to get him to talk about it, and he never really had much to add. Didn't seem to be a big fan of the McDaniels. Seemed they weren't the most reliable of sources. Maybe someday I can get him to talk more about it. So nothing like a good old Reddit character assassination of people 70 years after it happened or whatever. Not 70, 50 years.
Why would McDaniels lie? Like, to what end?
I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. So there's the theory that it's a hoax and that little Greg, the neighbor, was in on it. There's the theory that it was a kangaroo or a gorilla. There is the theory. Some people think it was an interdimensional being that just stepped
Haley thinks
into.
It was Greg. I think it was an interdimensional being.
I think it was a 10-year-old, yes.
And some people think it was an alien. And
I think it's an alien.
What do you guys think?
I mean, in all honesty, I don't know. Like, it sounds like, but I mean, random Reddit users, how reliable? ?
Oh, they were talking to each other like, oh, I see we're from the same town, dear sir.
Yes, good man. And I mean, if you're a super drunk person and maybe an escaped gorilla can look like a 3-legged, gray-skinned alien. I don't know.
Yes, the police did say that he was sober when they came to take his statement,
Yes.
but also, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like
Maybe the police were drunk too, and so they couldn't smell the alcohol on him because they all smelled like alcohol. I'm just kidding. Allegedly. Joke.
Everybody was drunk.
I don't know. Illinois is so ripe with cryptids, with all kinds of paranormal. That's where Mothman is. There's like so much vampire lore in Illinois. I like to think that is a place that's just ripe with creatures.
Yeah.
And things that we can't explain. And so I'm
A thinner place.
Yeah, I kind of want to say I think it was either alien or, like you said, interdimensional being. Yeah, or just some. Yeah, I'm guessing alien.
I think maybe some lost alien because when he called in the second time, did he call it in a second time and it was like lost by the train tracks or something like that?
Yeah, when he said he saw it the second time, it was like kind of scurrying along the train tracks. I don't know, the way you read it, it just made me think like he's looking for something. He's trying to go home. He wants to find his home.
E.T. go home.
So yeah, that's what I think. What do you think, Em?
I mean, I don't know. Like it's fun to think about like a harmless creature with glowing pink eyes that had 3 legs and was just trying to go home. I mean, since it didn't hurt anybody, it kind of makes you think that it was probably friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't know.
A bunch of people went shooting at it.
Yes.
Yeah, poor little guy.
Poor little guy. Poor little 4.5-foot guy with 3 legs.
And tiny short arms and a shorter, weirdly short body.
Yeah. I mean, that is kangaroo-ish, the short arms. But,
The pink eyes.
You know
Because
what else?
kangaroos have black eyes.
yeah. Except for maybe albino kangaroos.
But it had gray skin.
Oh, so not an albino. You're just shooting holes in every theory I have.
Except for, we both agree, alien.
I think alien or interdimensional being.
Or a 10-year-old.
We're shooting blindly at your theory, just
There
like
are
the
things
residents of Enfield were shooting at this poor creature.
I just feel like there's so much in unexplained, and I think especially in Illinois, there's so much unexplained.
Yeah. Emily, you did a really wonderful job. That was so good.
Okay, thank you. And I just panicked for a second because you guys just said that the Mothman was from Illinois, but I think that like the famous original Mothman, I think there was a Mothman sighting in Chicago, but the famous original Mothman was West Virginia.
The most recent Mothman sighting was at the Chicago airport. Yes.
Well, Emily, speaking of abominable swamp slobs, I'm going to tell you the tale of another one with the exact same acronym, which we abbreviate to an ASS. ASS, Abominable Swamp Slob. So, in August of 1963, Sheriff James L. Thompson was out doing what sheriffs do in this kind of small community. And he's hearing a ruckus in the woods, and he runs into a youth. And this youth, teenage boy, is carrying a rifle. And he said, "What are you doing out here carrying a rifle?" And this kid said, okay, there's a bunch of us out here, Sheriff. Like, we're all out here because we ran into a monster and it's 8 feet long and it's 4 feet high and it's got a long nose like an anteater. So the sheriff was like, okay, go home. Like, disband the youth, please. Let's not have a bunch of teenage boys running around in this, forest with rifles. It's not a good idea.
Here.
Yeah, get out of here. So that is the supposed first sighting was by a group of teenage boys of what is referred to as the Tuttle Bottoms Monster. And why it is called the Tuttle Bottoms Monster, I believe, is because the first sighting took place in the woods near a road called Tuttle Bottoms Road.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, it is totally cute. In near Harrisburg, Illinois. So I'm going to tell you about the Tuttle Bottoms Monster. The Tuttle Bottoms Monster is in a special category of crypto hominids known as I just said, the abominable swamp slobs. Now, what is a crypto hominid, you might ask?
Yes, Nettie, what is a crypto hominid?
The crypto hominid is a term used within the field of cryptozoology to refer to a hypothetical, not proven to be real, not proven to be false, bipedal ape-like creature. So not proven by mainstream science, but it is, suggested to be in existence by anecdotal evidence such as folklore, sightings. Yeah. So the word crypto means like hidden or secret. So like a secret, secret hominid. So examples of crypto hominids are Bigfoot, the Yeti, but examples of abominable swamp slobs are the skunk ape, the Fouke monster, or Fouke, Fouke monster, I'm not really sure, and the Enfield Horror.
Oh.
Which is how I knew a little bit about yours.
But wouldn't that one be tripedal, not bipedal?
That's a very good point, Emily. Yeah. Just wonder about that third leg.
2 or more.
2 or more. Yeah. Well, and bipedal creatures actually usually have 2 legs and 2 arms, but often walk on 4 and then will stand and walk as well. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Especially when we're talking about cryptids. So abominable swamp slob mirrors the term abominable snowman. Abominable snowmen live in the woods and in the mountains and in the hills. Abominable swamp slobs live in the bayous and in the wetlands and in the swamps.
Okay.
So the Tuttle Bottoms monster sightings were mostly in the 60s, and they were from the bottomlands, which must be Tuttle Bottom, around the Bankston Fork River and the northwestern outskirts of Harrisburg. In Saline County, which is considered part of the Little Egypt region of southern Illinois. And why it's called this, I don't know. So there's a famous paranormal investigator, and his name is Bruce L. Klein. And he claims that reports of the Tuttle Bottoms Monster began in the 1960s by, those youths that I talked about already was the first confirmed sightings, but there were several reports made by people driving down Doris Heights Road, and they would say that a large furry animal that resembled an overgrown anteater or a large bear would come out and cross in front of them or sort of harass the car. Whoa. So there were several sightings. Okay, so as the youths had told Sheriff Thompson, the youths, that it was 8 feet long, 4 feet high, and had a nose like an anteater. But several farmers also called in. And we're talking salt of the earth, hardworking people. They don't have time for any guff.
Nonsense.
And they called the sheriff in and reported some type of beast lurking in the area around Harrisburg. So 63 was the first known sighting, but Harrisburg Police Chief Gary Crabtree said that his department, starting in the 70s when he took over, received up to 50 reports of this. What? And they said that it is known to walk variably, either bipedally or quadrupedally.
And it's 8 feet long?
8 feet long, but it will stand up on its hind legs.
So 8 feet tall, too.
This will be in our socials. I'm going to show you girls a picture of a giant anteater. This is a real picture. This is what they do when they stand up on 2 legs. So that
is
is
surrendering to that cheetah.
Either that or he's trying to threaten it.
I did not know that anteaters could stand up on two legs. That does blow my mind.
But here's a cuter one. They're so cute. Here's a little one.
Oh, little guy. Hi.
They're really kind of cute.
Oh, very cute.
So they can, kind of like bears, I would assume, kind of like a bear, like mostly walks quadrupedally, but can stand up on his hind legs. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's what anteaters do. Like they can stand up. And I think maybe if they're feeling threatened, or in the one, it looks like they're surrendering, but I think he was actually trying to make himself large to threaten said cheetah. Now, a local cryptozoologist named Virgil Smith, and he founded an organization called Shadows of the Shawnee. And I think he is from the Harrisburg area. He spent 10 years researching the Tuttle Bottoms Monster case. And he said that he talked to a former employee of the U.S. Department of Agriculture who admitted, like off the record, to Virgil Smith that his department had launched an investigation into the Tuttle Bottoms Monster because there had been so many reports. But if you ask the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they're like, no. So, I think they did. And also, why the Department of Agriculture, I wonder, and not the Department of Homeland Security?
Because these Tuttle Bottoms are threatening our country.
And that is the head of Homeland Security right now. I mean, agriculture.
Haley Rampton.
So there are some theories that Virgil Smith, the cryptozoologist that researched for 10 years, had. The first one is that it could have been an animal released by the federal government, which had since died because he had heard that there was some experiments going on with crossbreeding. So that is one possibility. Although I don't believe that Virgil Smith felt like that was the answer, but it was a possibility.
Oh, yeah.
If you study something like cryptozoology, I think that you have to have a pretty open mind and be able to explore all the theories. Mm-hmm. His second claim was that it was a giant African anteater. And it's funny because I think this also was a misquote. You said that he, in your story, Emily, that they had misquoted him in Africa. I believe they meant South American anteater because giant anteaters are from South America and maybe Southeast Asia, but not from Africa. There is an animal that you may have heard of called an aardvark that is very similar looking to an anteater from Africa, which has a long nose. Has a long nose.
Its noise is long and its nose is longer. It's like, but its nose is like.
And this is when I wish we had video.
We don't though, and we never will.
I've got to work on that. Oh.
I mean, isn't the dream of podcasting to never have to be seen? Come on, guys. What are you doing to us? Where'd this expectation come from? Okay, so he found out that in Jefferson County, which is the county next to Harrisburg, a zoo had been shut down by federal investigators around the time the Harrisburg sightings began. And the zoo's unidentified owner was ordered to rehome all of his animals, within 2 days. But according to his friends and family, he just released them.
I feel like this has happened too many times.
He just released them in various parts of Southern Illinois. He was probably like, okay, well, here you go, aardvark. And here you go, anteater. And so one of the animals released was allegedly a giant anteater from Africa, but it could have been an aardvark from Africa or a giant anteater from South America. And Virgil Smith, I think that was his name, he feels like the giant anteater matches the description of the Tuttle Bottoms Monster, especially if it rears up on its hind legs, which it does, which anteaters do when they feel threatened. And there are anteaters in the United States, but they're much smaller. Mm-hmm. I think. I might be wrong about that. I'll find out and I'll cut it out.
There are not. I just texted you so we'd avoid this whole situation.
I don't read text while I'm reading my paper.
If you see an anteater in the United States, it's either in a zoo, a private collection, or an escaped pet. It is not a wild native animal.
Well, someone Guess which sister is the know-it-all in the bunch?
Me.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
it's clearly you, Nat.
So,
excuse me, I just claimed it.
oh, here, I have all the information right here, actually. It's all right. Okay. So, the giant anteater, which several people who had seen it said it looked like an anteater, but a few people said it had an ape-like body with an anteater head. So that was a little bit confusing because an anteater does not have an ape-like body.
Do you feel like just them rearing up
Maybe
confused people?
Standing up bipedally, yeah.
If you're not used to seeing anteaters.
Yeah, for those of you that might not look at our socials to see the picture, it literally looks like it's putting its arms up like it's being held up. Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like. But they're tall. I didn't realize until I researched this that anteaters were huge. Mm-hmm. I guess I assumed because they ate ants that they'd be like, I don't know, the size of like a beaver.
Yeah.
What about you?
I thought so too.
Like a possum?
Yeah, same.
And they have really long tongues. I saw some pictures. Really, really long tongues.
I think you'd be surprised how many people just don't have a really accurate reference point for anteater size.
Yeah. It's an epidemic.
I think you're right, Emily. So, and that's part of the reason why I'm glad we're doing this podcast is to set that record straight.
The more you know.
Nettie is an anteater education advocate. AEA.
That is some amazing alliteration.
Good job. Boop. Yes. So some people think that perhaps that same zoo owner released an aardvark. Also, they believe that an old, and I'm so glad I have the chance to say this word twice in this episode, they believe that an old orangutan released at the same time could have been responsible for the sightings of another abominable swamp slob, an inquisitive bipedal primate, which they don't give us the name of, just they call it another abominable swamp slob, which was in the swamps of Massac County, and it's often been lumped together with the Tuttle Bottoms Monster. Now, it's very similar as people were describing this cryptid. They found that it's very similar to a Brazilian cryptid called the Cape Lobo. And the Cape Lobo is a vampiric creature from Brazilian myth. The name Cape Lobo is a mix of two words, cape, from an American Indian word meaning broken bone, and lobo meaning
Wolf.
Wolf, yes. And lobo is wolf in Spanish. Lobo is also wolf in Portuguese. So these creatures have two forms. They have a quadrupedal animal form and they have the humanoid form, which is when they kind of transform. And in animal form, they look like a tapir, but larger, faster, and thinner, which could also look a lot like an anteater. If you look up, tapirs look a lot like anteaters, like in their shape, except for anteaters are super furry and tapirs are more like rhinoceros or hippopotamus looking with their skin.
Kind of almost hog. Don't they have like short hair, but like...
They do. They have a little bit of hair, kind of like a hog, and they also have a snout. It's longer, and they have a snout like an aardvark. An aardvark also has a snout, but it's longer. And the tapir's snout is a little longer than a pig's, but not as long as an aardvark's, I would say. So, but they say that the Cape Lobo is hairy. It has a shaggy coat of black fur and a snout that appears similar to an anteater's or a pig's, like an aardvark. And they are very hairy and ugly. That is in their quadrupedal animal form. But in humanoid form, these creatures are very muscular with a human body and an anteater's head. They still are furry, so maybe more ape-like than human-like, I would assume, with a matted coat of fur and are covered head to toe in impenetrable skin.
Impenetrable.
Even hunched, they are 2 meters tall. And guess how tall 2 meters is?
It's like almost 6 feet.
It's 6'7".
Your husband.
It's more than 6 feet.
I was just trying to make a 6'7" reference for anyone who's listening with
6'7".
kids. They would be like,
Is that
6'7".
true? Wait, 2 meters is literally 6 feet 7 inches.
That's what this article said.
Wow.
We can't question it.
Yeah. So, a Cape Lobo would be considered an abominable swamp slob. because it is, well, maybe it would because it might live in the mountains. I'm not really sure, but it is Cape Lobo leaves like weird hoof prints instead of like paw prints. And I don't know anything about the Tuttle Bottoms Monster prints. I didn't see anything about it. But a Cape Lobo, it said it almost looks like someone took a bottle and stamped it into the ground. Like that's how their prints are shaped. And they stink like the skunk ape, which is also an abominable swamp slob. And
Bigfoot stinks.
And Bigfoot stinks. And they're always surrounded by flies. A cloud of flies. Now, I found one current experience with the Tuttle Bottoms Monster. And this is from a Reddit user who has since deleted their name, but they are, you better just ask. So in 2011, this is the most recent sighting, this person was replying to a thread on cryptozoology, and they said it was the year 2011, and they thought they saw this monster. They had just smoked some marijuana and jumped into his car.
Good idea.
He both blames the weed and also says that he definitely was not influenced by the weed in the same sentence. Because he's like, I blame the weed for what happens next. But also, I smoke weed all the time and I've never hallucinated. So I don't think I was hallucinating. So take that as you will. But they are driving along the road and suddenly looking out the window, there's a giant creature with light and dark striped skin, which is kind of interesting because anteaters sort of have those stripes, almost like skunk stripes. Light and dark striped skin. His eyes were glowing from reflections. I don't remember what happened next. I believe it turned inside the car. However, I screamed involuntarily. And then my buddy asked if I was all right. And I pulled off the road and I had my buddy drive the rest of the way. I'd never had a hallucination so clear in my life. And I've never had that strong of a hallucination before or after, even though I always smoke weed, is basically what he said. And he goes, but now I'm reading about this creature. So this is him saying, and today I'm reading about this creature, and I've only ever told the story to a few different people, and it sounds like it's the same thing. It stood 6 feet tall. It was on all fours, and it had an anteater snout. And its eyes were far apart, and it had a really big head, but he couldn't really see the ears or any of the rest of it. And that was his experience.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
And that is the Tuttle Bottoms Monster. But that 2011 sighting is like the only one like after 1990s. So it's perhaps, I don't know, perhaps the escaped anteater.
South American.
Aardvark. I mean, in the article it said African anteater, but I would assume.
Do we know how long anteaters usually live?
I don't know. But I would assume that's probably it. That could be it. Because nothing like paranormal happened. Like it didn't leap, travel like the Enfield Horror. It didn't leap 50 feet. It just was seen.
Yeah, like on the side of the road. Kind of sometimes.
Running back and forth in like rural, swampy areas.
So this says that anteaters typically, like the giant anteater, typically lives 14 or 15 years in the wild, but in captivity, they can sometimes reach 20 to 26 years. So that could fit in the time frame you're talking about. Or maybe not. I don't know. I love these little like mystery nuggets that we all leave for each other though. Like we just hear these crazy things and wonder what's what, right?
happening.
And I just love the name Tuttle Bottom Monster. When you suggested it, Emily, I was like, I'll take it without even knowing anything about it because I love the name Tuttle Bottom.
That was exactly my feeling on it. I was like, well, I have to do the Enfield Horror because like obviously like it just called to my name. But as soon as I started reading it, I was like, somebody needs to do this one.
Perfect. Well, I've got a bird, the Piasa Bird.
all right.
So imagine you're standing on the Mississippi River in Alton, Illinois. You see something painted on the limestone. It has the horns of a deer, red eyes, giant bat wings, the body of a serpent, bird-like limbs with razor-sharp claws and razor-sharp teeth. With, in different sources, a face like a man or a face like a tiger.
It's everything.
What? This thing is scary.
Then suddenly, it swoops down and picks up your friend, not your best friend, 4th or 5th tier, and quickly devours them. You dash and find somewhere to hide as you hear the terrifying beating of large wings.
Oh my goodness.
This is the Piasa Bird of Illinois, also known as the bird of the evil spirit, or the bird that devours men.
Ah.
Okay, so at first it looks like it's painted on the side of a wall, and then it just...
No, then it comes out and it gets you.
It just extracts itself from its painted form and
Or is it its hiding spot?
gets your 4th best friend?
4th tier.
4th tier.
Or
best
5th tier.
friend. Oh.
So we don't care that much about this character.
I'm sorry, I'm not as sad as you because
You didn't know him as well.
Yeah. This is like your 4th phone call.
that is the most... Okay, this is how I feel. That is like 5th grade, like project that your teacher gives you where you're like, combine animals to create a dream animal. And all the girls are doing like a unicorn that can fly and also has wings and is rainbow colored. And the boys are like, tiger face, tiger claws, bats, wings of a bat,
Claws
body
of a
razor
snake.
sharp. It is a bird, but it does not have a beak because I needed it to have fangs.
Razor sharp fangs.
That is very scary. And I don't like the idea of that I'm looking at a painting and then it comes out to eat my 4th tier best friend.
Well, is that painting a warning of its lair?
Oh, so it's not like it's the painting and then it morphs out of the painting. It just comes out from near the
Yeah,
painting.
the painting might be a warning.
Tell me more.
So, legend of the Piasa bird is attributed to the native tribe, oh shoot, I should have practiced this more. The Illinois. Legend has it that this massive bird would swoop down and carry off people. The beast was finally killed when a warrior sacrificed himself and got close enough to kill the beast with poisoned arrows. So in 1673, French explorers Jacques Marquette and Louis Jollet saw a Native American painting on the rocks. The image depicted a dragon-like creature with the body of a serpent and the head of a man. These French settlers recorded their findings. The Illinois tribe called the monster Piasa, meaning the bird that devours men. According to legend, the creature would swoop down from the skies and carry off terrified villagers until a chief named Autatoga and his warriors went out in search of the creature, ambushing it near its lair and killing it with poisoned arrows as it flew out in search of its next meal. So we have a couple of different reports on its death. One, a warrior sacrifices himself. Another, a chief and his warriors go and kill the beast themselves. And there's a rumor that there's more than one of these creatures. So it could be that both stories are true.
Right. Well.
So the Piasa image reported by the French explorers was as large as a calf, making the creature look very intimidating and visible from the river. The original painting was destroyed due to rock quarrying.
Oh.
Nothing nice.
You've got to be kidding.
Not
That
kidding.
sucks.
Were there pictures taken of it? At
No.
least?
Oh, that's the worst.
Not that I found. But
It's really awful.
actually,
I bet you somebody has a nice granite countertop with a bird painted on it, and they're like, well, why'd I get a bird on my counter? Can we buff
The
this
size
out?
of a calf.
this is kind of a depiction of what it may have looked like, though. So it's not.
Okay.
It's not the painting that the.
Oh.
So it was kind of one of those things where
But it doesn't mean that was the only depiction of a Piasa.
was it only visible like if you were going down the river? Or
So it was reported that it was visible from the river.
okay.
That is what the French explorers said.
Did you know that there's a bunch of petroglyphs that are only visible if you're on the Columbia? Like the cliffs as you're going through.
So cool.
Yeah, and a bunch of them were covered up when they dammed up one of the dams.
Oh,
like
darn
covered a
it.
bunch. Anyways, yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I just heard about that and I was like, why do we do that?
Why? Okay, it's behind me. Looking at the cord.
I was like, what's behind you?
The Piasa. We're friends. Sorry. And so there's a quote that I found that I just kind of thought it was a little bit funny and maybe a good description that the Piasa has gargoyle demon energy.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And so, sisters, what do you think? Cautionary tale? Story exaggerated over time? Native artwork misinterpreted by European colonizers?
Well, have there been any cases of record of people seeing this?
Nothing recent.
When was the most recent?
It was tales, like oral stories passed down over time in native tribes.
I think probably something was bugging a group of people. And like a bunch of brave guys went out and decided to make something up that they caught and killed and come back and be like, this isn't going to bother us anymore. It was the scariest thing
We ever did see.
We're so brave. Please make us food and give us some lovin'.
Beautiful ladies.
It's interesting though that it's like all in this area. It's like that was 1600s. You said was the first record of this.
Was when the Frenchmen came across the artwork.
The
on the
artwork,
stone.
1600s, winged creature without a bird face. What is the Mothman?
Ooh.
Winged creature, similar
but deer horns.
Oh yeah, the deer horns. That's
So
deer horns.
there
Put a
is
different spin on it.
speculation that the Piasa is a demon or an underworld guardian. Could be a thunderbird corrupted over time. Emily, you covered thunderbirds. Or a warning symbol to protect sacred land. Which this is kind of my thought, is that this was like a sacred area.
or some teenage native boys. I'm going to create the creature of my dreams.
The teacher asked me to create a
Somebody's like, okay,
Create a
take these
monster.
paints, go paint something really scary on this wall. They're like, scary like what? And they're
horns,
like,
claws.
just whatever you think, something that's really scary.
Horns, claws, teeth, razor. Everything's razor sharp.
serpent.
And then his friend's like, deer antler? And they're like, fine.
Like, fine, I'll add that. But they're going to be sharp. Very sharp.
No
Well.
flowers on it like the snoffus.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I do wonder because if something were to happen to like our society and we all just disappeared and all that was left was notebooks full of like 4th and 5th grade boys, creatures, they would be like, so there's these animals that there's records of everywhere.
Power Rangers, huh?
Oh
So,
my gosh.
So maybe native cultures did that as well. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Just maybe some of it's just all made up, but I don't know.
I hope so.
That's cool.
So, if you're on the Mississippi River near Alton, Illinois, listen for the flap of large wings. The Piasa Bird might rise again.
With its tiger face and its claws so sharp.
And it's deer antlers.
Deer.
It's slightly fuzzy deer antlers.
Wow. I wonder if there's anywhere else that has like a similar painting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a similar, what do you call it? Like a petroglyph.
Yeah.
I wonder. That's so cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was fun.
Yes, Illinois did not disappoint.
No.
No,
You know, I
Ne'er
knew
shall they.
it would be a good one. And so our next one is Indiana. Illinois, Indiana. So Indiana cryptids are next. We'll be back with Indiana cryptids in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between now and then, we've got another episode coming out and another follow-up Friday.
Fuff.
So I think you're closing us out.
Well, thank you for listening. And we are the Spooky Darlings. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at the Spooky Darlings Podcast. And if you have any questions, corrections, or stories of your own, please email us at thespookydarlings@gmail.com.
Especially if you've seen the Piasa Bird.
We need those stories, listeners. And thank you. Good night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
5 stars. But my girls were making a noise in the background, so you should maybe
I'll
do
do
it,
it.
Emily.
Yeah,
okay,
I'll do
thank
it.
you.
5 stars.
Before we disappear into the shadows, don't forget, we're still sending out vinyl stickers. Leave us a rating and review and email us proof to thespookydarlings@gmail.com, along with your mailing address, and we'll send you some spooky snail mail while supplies last. And if your heart is still mourning that tote bag, may we gently tempt your way toward our merch store at thespookydarlings.printful.me. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.